Hey there, Brad Kessler from GreatOptionTradingStrategies.com. First up, apologies if you hear any banging around in the background. My neighbor is apparently having his roof replaced today. So the topic I want to cover today is what are realistic returns when selling options? And in case you don't want to watch the entire video, the short answer is that I believe you can consistently earn double-digit returns a year as a seller or net seller of options. It's very doable. Now, the more experience you gain, the more you learn to identify attractive setups and how to exploit the flexibility and built-in structural advantages of these trades when managing them, you're going to do even better. But before we get into that, I want to share some recent experiences that made me want to cover this topic in the first place. So over the last few days, I ran into a couple of online comments made by members of the managed money industry. And I'm not calling anyone out, and this is not a rant, not entirely anyway. And at least one of these comments was a few years old. But I still think these comments are representative and they speak to a certain larger point. So the first guy is some kind of financial planner or advisor. And he tells this anecdote where his client comes to him saying that he wants 7% a year risk-free. And this guy basically mocks his client. And he says, hey, you know what? If you can find that, let me know so I can sell it to all the other clients. At the time, I think CDs were paying around 1% or something. First of all, horrible customer service. Not only is he mocking his client, but he's actually not even listening to him. Because what the client is really asking for, he just wants 7% a year and not to have to stress about it. But this financial expert takes his client's question literally and latches onto the phrase risk-free, which in his mind can only be something that's insured or paid out by the U.S. federal government, an institution that's currently about $20 trillion in debt, by the way. Okay, comment number 2 came from a guy who was affiliated with the hedge fund industry. And what he said that really stood out to me was, he says something to the effect that most funds would be happy delivering 5% returns a year. Okay, now I get it. Hedge funds in their truest form aren't designed to run circles around the stock market. They're designed to deliver a reasonable rate of return while hopefully protecting their clients' assets and wealth from losses. But 5%? Seriously? And I thought it was hilarious that he said most funds would be happy delivering 5% returns a year. That may be a true statement, but I kind of wonder how many clients would be happy receiving 5% returns a year. And then these guys love to trot out Bernie Madoff. You know, Bernie Madoff made all these promises to his clients too about making unrealistic returns every year. Okay, first of all, Bernie Madoff was supposedly generating 15% a year, basically trading callers on the S&P 500, which just isn't going to happen. But suggesting to your clients that 5 to 7% a year is some kind of pyramid scheme? I mean, come on, that's pretty sad. That's like a mechanic telling you he can't fix your car. You know, some weeks it's just not going to run. Do you own a bike? Live near a bus stop? But here's the deal. If you outsource your investments to a professional, you're stuck with what you get. The managed money industry spends millions upon millions of dollars a year getting their message out, which is basically you, the lowly individual, are too stupid and unsophisticated for self-directed investing. Self-directed investing is way too difficult and dangerous for lowly amateurs. Leave it to the experts. And don't you dare complain about not getting 5 to 7% a year, you ungrateful maniac. Now come on, can you do better on your own? As in much, much better? Of course you can. It's like anything else. If it's important to you, if you find it interesting in any way, if you make it fun, if you're willing to invest some time and energy, learning, growing, developing your skills, you're going to get good at it. It's like learning to play the guitar. Is the goal to become Eric Clapton? Probably not. And it doesn't need to be either. Okay, same thing comes to your money. You don't have to become Warren Buffett. The managed money industry would love you to think it's a binary choice. That since you can't match Warren Buffett's long-term success, you might as well throw in the towel and just accept crappy outsourced performance. And I say performance rather than returns because some years there won't be returns. Quick side note, conversation for another day, but the real reason why professionals do such a bad job managing other people's money isn't for the most part that they're incompetent or not smart or anything like that. It simply comes down to the fact that they have way too much money to manage effectively. When you have a fund with billions of dollars in it, it doesn't matter who's running it. It's too bloated. It's going to underperform. So what does all this mean for you? Can you dare to hope to get more than 5 to 7% a year in the market trading options? Now, obviously, there's really no such thing as risk-free when it comes to anything. A CD, a treasury, a money market account may be backed by the U.S. federal government, but that doesn't mean that it's really risk-free. Sure, you're likely not ever going to see the US default on a debt since it controls the printing press, but that doesn't mean there can't be some hyperinflation period in the future that tanks the value of the dollar and in effect tanks your risk-free investments. The larger question, I think, goes back to that client who really just wanted a semi-decent return delivered with steadiness and stability. Realistically, can you do that with option trading? Well, of course you can. Now, I'm not talking about massive returns. There are strategies you can employ that really exploit the leverage factor of options, and you can theoretically find yourself in trades that generate explosive returns. But that also opens you up to potential big losses too. And that style of trading requires a certain type of personality. You have to be okay with a lot of volatility. The idea is that you make more, a lot more hopefully, on your winning trades than what you lose on your losing trades. If that's your deal, more power to you, and I sincerely wish you success. But it's not a good fit for me personally. And I don't think it would be a good fit for that earlier client we were talking about who just wanted stable 7% returns a year. So are there stable and conservative option strategies that can consistently deliver high yield income? Absolutely. Now these are going to be on the option selling or net option selling side of the ledger versus the option buying or net buying side. Double-digit annual returns being a seller of options and without taking dumb risks or having to worry about blowing up your account is absolutely doable. I personally target 15 to 25% annualized returns on every one of my trades. I usually hit that target or better. Sometimes the trades produce smaller returns if they need to be repaired, but I rarely ever book a loss at the end of the day on a trade. Now that's not because I'm so brilliant. It's because there's so much flexibility with what you can do when you're on the options selling side of things and a trade misbehaves in some way. Even the occasional real problem child trades. Now, if you're just starting out, if you're brand new or relatively new to options, your first priority shouldn't be striving to maximize your returns. Your first priority should be to gain greater clarity about options, how they work, and why, in my opinion, you're much safer and better off being a net seller of options rather than a net buyer. Now, if any of this applies to you, I've added some links in the description below to a 4-part option trading tips article series I've put together. Part 1 goes into more detail about the case for selling options. Now, obviously, there's a lot we're not covering in this video, including risk control. Option trading can involve a lot of risk, but here's the deal. Options can reduce and even eliminate a lot of risk too. So lots of other conversations we can have and we will have. So be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can keep apprised of new videos. And if anything I said here resonated with you, be sure to give the video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And again, there are links to other resources in the description below. And I would just like to end by saying, don't sell yourself short. Don't buy into the nonsense perpetuated by those who benefit from you being demoralized about your money. Self-directed investing is like anything else in life. You can develop and improve your skills. You can be proficient at anything, but you have to commit to learning and growing and to having fun while you're doing it. All right, till next time, take care.